Stocks after dark. All right, P. So I figured it out. This little debt crisis that we in, this little debt ceiling that we in, this national debt, it's basically like 2008, but in reverse. As opposed to it just being the housing market is basically all consumer debt. You dig? So I got a couple different points that I'm gonna go over, and we're gonna try to keep this video very concise, very straight to the point, and we just gonna get to it. You understand what I'm saying? So basically, number one, right, is the debt that we are in right now is a ticking time bomb, bro. We can't go on no longer like this. America is drowning in debt from credit cards, student loans, auto loans, personal loans, anything you could possibly imagine. People are borrowing more money than they can manage and more money than they can even potentially even pay back in the future. This is because the U.S. right now is a $1.75 trillion in debt. As a consumer base, I'm talking about this is from your credit cards, putting gas on everything, those reward points credit cards that you was taking trips on, all that, man. It's 20% APR. I don't have no credit cards at all, zero. I have zero credit cards. I do have student loans, but them getting wiped out when I, clock out. Auto loans, I don't even have an auto loan car. I got rid of the Tesla I had. I'm done. I'm not paying no more consumer debt, bro. So at the end of so basically what this is meaning is that people during the COVID-19 when interest rates dropped down to the lowest point, basically 0.6, mortgage rates was 3.3%. It gave people a lot of opportunities to take money out of the banks in the banking systems in order to go buy luxury goods in order to keep the economy going steady afloat. That basically transitioned into an inflationary time period that we're in right now, and basically seeing consumer debt being over out of control. This is basically going to lead to the Federal Reserve as this crisis looms further and further. This is basically going to make the Federal Reserve cut interest rates as we loom into a depression, a silent depression that we're already in, and it's basically going to make the Fed rate cut rates in order for the banking system to allow them more funding to basically kick the can down the road. Now I see what everybody been talking about. It's starting to make sense. At the end of the day, this is all ending up in one final result, the domino effect, right? So basically, when debts become unpayable, people start to default. As people start to default, lenders start to take a hit. When the banks slow down, the economy slows down. When businesses start to shut down, layoffs increase, and then all of a sudden we're in a full-blown recession that's now noticeable to the Fed, President Trump, Elon Musk, and all of the Democrats from the last party that put us in this position by basically overspending on foreign aid that was not necessary during the time of those presidencies, because we already had too much money being printed from the Federal Reserve during COVID time. We needed to take a break on halting out all of the money that we were printing, but we continue to print more money, and not only did we print more money, we sent the money to another country. Not us, Biden, but whoever voted for him. Okay, lastly, right? In order to be financially secure during this bubble and before it pops, one thing that you have to do is get rid of this high interest debt. So if you're paying 20%, 30%, 28%, 14%, even the 7% on your home, you're going to be upside down by the time all of this starts erupting. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, yes, home prices can go up, but say, for example, for the next 10, 15 years, they are in a decline or in a stagnation period where they went up so high that the market couldn't justify it. Now you have to wait until the market is able to catch up to the prices that we're actually paying right now. It's called stagflation. So another thing that you could do is live below your means. If you're already upside down and you don't find yourself in a financial suitable position, you can basically downsize your life and get in a situation where you're paying less bills to have more money to invest for the future. So they got high interest yields accounts where you can get 4% on any money that you save. You can put $100, $200, $500 into a Robinhood account every month, and it'll accrue with interest. You can also put your money in stocks, Bitcoin, or this in the S&P 500 just to make sure that you're not bombarded with the inflation that we're going to see within the next couple years. They're going to have to print more money. They're going to have to keep this show up and running. Now I understand why they keep saying that we're just kicking the can down the road. The next thing that you have to do is build an emergency fund of like 3 to 6 months. This is all of your basic necessities. So everything from gas, food, sunflower seeds, if you Monsters, Red Bulls, the blunts you smoke, whatever the case may be, weed, you need 3 months of that. So if you spend $5,000, $4,000, $3,000, times it by 3 to 6, and that's how much money you need in a savings account. Just put it in a Capital One account. They doing 4% right now. Every month you'll see the interest accruing. Lastly, invest wisely. We need companies that are not consumer-based companies. This is the main portion of this video. We need companies that are not consumer-based companies, right? What do I mean by that, right? So Amazon is very consumer-based companies, but the reason why Amazon is a little bit protected from stagflation is because they don't offer consumers like layaway plans, like buy now, pay later. They only offer subscription-based products. In addition, they offer lower end inflationary product that you can order directly from the manufacturer, kind of like a Alibaba or something like that. They're actually opening up a new store like that. Apple is another one, right? Since everybody already has Apple products, they're going to continuously use Apple products, no matter if it's an inflation or whatever the case may be. They might keep their old Apple phones, but eventually when they upgrade, they will continue to go to Apple. Lastly, when you have kids, the next generation, they're going to be Apple. There isn't another company out there. No one wants Samsung. No one's going to do that in America specifically. Another company that we have is Nucor Steel. The reason I like this company is because they've been around for a very, very long time. I actually used to work for Nucor Steel as an intern for an engineer when I was about 19. So that's a company that's going to be here for the longevity and definitely the long term as we continue to see the increase and the increase in the debt consumer bubble, right? Another one that we can see is Tesla. As we can see, Tesla is dropping product lines in order to basically hone in on the future technology as far as robotics. You feel me? So once he's able to produce these humanoid robots on a scale that makes sense for industry standards, as for like iRobot, where the movie that Will Smith played in, once it gets to that level, Tesla is going to be the main distribution. He's going to be able to go to where you can go to a Tesla store and pick out the very own robot that you want, as opposed to picking out the very own car that you want. Lastly, of course, is Nvidia, right? Nvidia, I'm gonna give you 3 more. So AMD, Berkshire Hathaway B, and Nvidia. So the reason I say AMD is because they're like a subsidiary. They're not a subsidiary. I would say it's AMD, Taiwan Semiconductors. Nvidia, Taiwan Semiconductors, and then AMD. The reason why Taiwan Semiconductors is before AMD is because Apple is now going with Taiwan Semiconductors, and they're bringing over a plant to Arizona, so they just became the second most powerful person to produce chips inside of the U.S. other than behind NVIDIA. Next is AMD, which is also another direct competitor to Qualcomm. Only reason I choose AMD over is because they do the gaming processing chips. And as we know, as streaming and the younger generations become a lot more game-based and more metaverse influential, I guess, or directed, you feel me? We're definitely looking for AMD. Berkshire Hathaway is basically like the S&P, you feel me? Like he's not gonna miss. He's basically like putting your money into the S&P 500. And then last one, AMD, Berk, Tesla, Nucor, and Palantir. Of course, you gotta go with Palantir. What I figured out Palantir is, as they collect all of our data, Palantir is the one that disperses out for the government. So like, as all of these companies, Meta, Twitter, any of the apps that you're using, ChatGPT, stuff like that, all of the companies, all of the information that they're receiving is basically generated and formulated through Palantir, you feel me, is also Snowflake. But I will go with Palantir because they just IPO'd. They just ran up to about $100, so I'll wait for a pullback around like $80 to $60, somewhere in there. And then from Palantir, I can definitely see that going to the moon in the next 5 or 10 years. So that's my video on the consumer debt bubble that we're in right now. In order to prepare, get rid of high debt, number one. Number two, live below your means. Get rid of all of those bills. No bills, only rent, Wi-Fi, and lights, stuff like that. Number three, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of your day-to-day expenses. So your gas, your weed, your alcohol, your gym membership, stuff like that. And then third is invest any money that you have on the side. Please do not let money sit in cash unless you have that 3 to 6 month of emergency fund. Everything else needs to be invested into the market in order for you to be able to benefit from all of this inflation that's going to take place over the next couple years as we continue to basically fuel this debt bubble that we're in and this debt crisis that we're going to see unfold right before our eyes as we did the 2008 crash. So just be prepared. We might enter a situation of stagflation and where nobody can afford anything because can't anybody get anything on credit, then jobs are going out of the way. So we'll see how the economy turns out in the next couple the next couple years. But as Trump is around, you feel me, we definitely can hold on to our britches because he's definitely going to do everything he can to help the American population. In the next one, I'll catch y'all on the 2.